tonight, you are here, in Bali. On the southwestern edge of the island, where the Indian Ocean stretches out in every direction like it has no intention of ever ending, and the sky has just begun its slow, magnificent performance. The sun is descending, not falling, not dropping, descending. Descending with quiet elegance, as though it knows the entire island has stopped, simply to watch. You are here, in Bali, in a sunset yoga class. The mats are laid in a loose crescent on the sand, all of them facing the sea. Yours is a deep, dusty rose. You take a long, comfortable breath in and gently let it go. Again, breathing in, feeling your shoulders soften, and breathing out, allowing the day to drift quietly away. You feel the warm sand beneath your bare feet, not hot, not cool, perfectly warm. Warm enough that every grain seems to hold the memory of the afternoon sun. That warmth slowly rises through the soles of your feet, into your ankles, your legs, through to your arms, gently inviting every muscle to soften. Tonight, every hour seems to move just a little more slowly, and every breeze seems to carry permission to simply be. The sun is beginning its graceful descent toward the horizon. Its golden light melts across the Indian Ocean, turning the water into ribbons of liquid amber, rose gold, and soft bronze. The teacher is a Balinese woman, with dark hair tied low at the nape of her neck, and a voice that seems to arrive from somewhere very still inside her. Her voice is steady and calm, grounding. She wears white linen, simple, unadorned. She moves the way water moves, without effort, without announcement. To your left, a woman with silver-streaked locks pinned up in a loose crown. She has the kind of stillness that comes from having finally stopped performing. You recognize it. To your right, another woman, her skin luminous with the kind of glow that comes from water and sleep, and being somewhere that simply agrees with you. She catches your eye briefly and smiles softly. No words needed. The air smells of salt and something floral drifting from the temple gardens further along the coast. Frangipani, maybe. You breathe in through the nose, slow, and you feel your chest lift, your ribs expand, your spine lengthen, almost imperceptibly. An elderly Balinese gentleman on a nearby mat glides through his practice with seasoned grace. His movements are slow, careful, beautifully unhurried. You notice the ease in everyone here. No one appears to be chasing time. Instead, everyone seems to have quietly stepped outside of it. The texture beneath your mat upon the warm sand feels slightly uneven, reminding you that nature never asks for perfection, only balance. You stand quietly, looking toward the ocean, listening. The waves rise, then fall, rise, then fall again, like one long, peaceful breath, shared by the entire world. The first stars begin appearing overhead, twinkling softly. You close your eyes. The sounds around you become clearer. Gentle surf rolling towards shore. Palm leaves rustling overhead. The occasional chirp of evening birds preparing to rest. Everything blending into one quiet symphony. You inhale slowly. The warm ocean air fills your lungs. Fresh, clean, carrying the faint sweetness of tropical flowers. As you exhale, you feel yourself arriving more completely. Not only here, on this beautiful island, but inside yourself. Your feet press gently into the mat. Your arms float upward, slowly, as though lifted by the evening breeze itself. Your fingertips reach toward the glowing sky, where soft clouds drift across the fading light. You stretch without force, without pushing, without straining. As you fold forward, you hear another wave rolling onto the shore, its timing perfectly matching your breath. The ocean breathing with you. You rise again, slowly, unfolding, one vertebra at a time, feeling lighter, longer, more spacious inside. The class moves along like this, slow, unhurried. Every posture held long enough to actually feel it. You move into a gentle warrior pose, and the setting sun falls directly on your face. You close your eyes, and there it is. Warmth. That deep, generous warmth of late evening on skin. The ocean does not rush. The waves come in, pause, and recede. In, pause, and out. They are doing what they have always done, and they will not stop for any of your worries. There is something deeply comforting about that. You move through a slow, opening heart pose, your arms wide, your face tilted up. Somewhere above you, a single white egret crosses the sky, unhurried, going wherever egrets go at dusk. The yoga practice continues. Gentle twists, slow stretches, comfortable pauses, flowing movements. Each transition happens almost invisibly, like clouds changing shape, like tides shifting, like daylight quietly becoming evening. And then, Shavasana. You lie back on your mat. The sky above you is changing. It becomes an endless watercolor painting. The sky is no longer blue. It is, there is no word simple enough. Layers of tangerine and rose, deep coral bleeding into violet at the edges, and below it all, that last ribbon of pale gold along the horizon. Every color arriving without hurry. Deep coral, dusty rose, violet, midnight blue. One color slowly dissolving into the next. No sharp edges, only softness. Every color lingering longer than expected, like the day leaving a love letter before it goes. You feel the sand beneath the mat, solid, patient, holding you completely. You feel the breeze move across your arms, warm at first, and then, with each minute, just a degree cooler. Night is arriving, softly, without fanfare. You don't want to move, and so, for a while, you don't. You rest your palms upward, receiving, doing absolutely nothing, allowing the earth to hold you completely. The air cools just slightly now, just enough to feel refreshing. You wrap your arms softly around yourself for a moment, feeling grateful for your own presence, your own company, your own quiet. A single shooting star glides silently across the sky. No one points. No one interrupts the silence. Perhaps no one else notices. Perhaps everyone notices. You remain there for another peaceful moment, breathing, listening, simply resting. It feels as though the entire island has softened its rhythm, as though Bali itself has taken one long, unhurried breath and invited you to breathe with it. You lower one hand to the sand beside your mat. The warmth of the day still lingers within it. Fine grains cling to your fingertips, shimmering faintly in the last light of the evening, like tiny flecks of sunlit gold. Slowly, gently, you bring yourself back. You rise to a comfortable seated position, rolling your shoulders with quiet ease, opening your eyes. The beach has changed, not dramatically, only gently. The waves seem softer now. Even the breeze has become more delicate, as though the shoreline has lowered its voice so evening may arrive undisturbed. You roll your yoga mat with slow, practiced movements. The woven fibers curl neatly beneath your hands, releasing their familiar, comforting sound. A small ritual, a graceful closing to one beautiful chapter of the day, and the quiet beginning of another. You rest the mat across your shoulder. Then, without hurry, you begin walking along the shoreline. Somewhere ahead, a sea temple waits upon its ancient outcrop of black volcanic stone. Its silhouette is still softened by distance, yet it already carries a quiet sense of invitation. The coastal path has been shaped by countless barefoot journeys before yours. Smooth volcanic stone gives way to ribbons of warm sand, then back again to weathered steps polished by generations of passing feet. Clumps of seagrass catch the final amber light, their delicate blades glowing like fine silk embroidered along the edge of the shore. To your left, the Indian Ocean has deepened into rich shades of sapphire and deep teal. Here and there, the fading sunlight still scatters across its surface, leaving ribbons of molten gold drifting between gentle swells. Far offshore, fishing boats rest quietly upon the water, their dark silhouettes suspended between sea and sky with effortless patience. To your right, the land rises in graceful layers of volcanic stone and lush tropical greenery. Ancient trees lean gently toward the coast. From somewhere beyond them comes the quiet ringing of a temple bell. Its clear tone lingers in the warm evening air before dissolving into silence. A sound that feels less like a bell and more like part of the island's heartbeat. You continue barefoot along the shore, Each step sinks softly into the sand before the earth gently lifts you forward again. The beach transforms beneath your feet. Near the palms, the sand is pale ivory, fine as sifted flour. Closer to the tide, it deepens into warm honey and burnished bronze, still holding the day's lingering warmth. At the water's edge, the waves polish the shoreline until it becomes smooth as glass, a mirror reflecting coral skies, drifting clouds, and the first delicate stars of evening. A gentle ocean breeze wraps around you. It carries sea salt. High above, coconut palms sway with effortless grace. Some leaves whisper softly in the breeze. Others brush together with a gentle applause, as though the island itself is applauding another extraordinary sunset. Ahead, the first lanterns have begun to glow outside the beach cafes. Hand-woven shades cast pools of warm light across weathered timber decks and polished stone pathways. Their gentle radiance softens every edge, as though evening itself has been lit by candlelight. Somewhere nearby, quiet laughter drifts through the sea air. An acoustic guitar plays a slow, unhurried melody, its notes carried effortlessly on the ocean breeze. Nothing competes for your attention. Every sound belongs exactly where it is. A young girl wanders nearby, beside her grandmother, gathering shells polished smooth by countless tides. Every few moments, she lifts one into the fading light with quiet delight. Her grandmother smiles as though she has been handed a rare jewel. Perhaps she has. Farther along the shoreline, a fisherman tends to his nets. His hands move with practiced ease, loosening each knot with quiet patience. There is no urgency, only the steady rhythm of experience. A simple task transformed into something almost meditative. Beyond the breaking waves, several surfers float gently upon their boards. Their silhouettes drift against the luminous horizon, rising and falling with the gentle swell. They do not chase the ocean. They simply trust that in its own perfect time, the next wave will find them. The tide begins its slow return. Each wave reaches a little farther across the shore before quietly slipping back into the sea. As it retreats, it leaves behind delicate ripples upon the sand, fine, intricate patterns that resemble silk embroidered by water itself. You choose to walk where the waves have only just passed. The sand is cool now, silken beneath your feet, firm enough to cradle every step with effortless ease. Behind you, your footprints linger for only a few peaceful moments. The evening breeze shifts almost imperceptibly. Small tide pools begin to appear among smooth volcanic stone. You pause beside one. Tiny reef fish drift effortlessly between fragments of coral. A curious hermit crab ventures cautiously across the rocks before disappearing into a beautifully weathered shell many times its size. The still water reflects the evening sky with remarkable clarity. You continue your walk. Gradually, the palms begin to thin, giving way to dramatic formations of ancient volcanic stone. Centuries of wind and sea have sculpted graceful curves, smooth hollows, and weathered terraces into the dark rock. Velvet moss nestles within sheltered crevices. Tiny white blossoms emerge from the smallest cracks, catching the last traces of evening light. As you walk, you find your breathing naturally matching the rhythm of the waves. In as the water glides toward shore. Out, as it gently returns to the ocean. No effort, no counting. Simply following a rhythm that existed long before anyone thought to measure time. A small seaside cafe overlooks the water. A handful of beautifully crafted teak tables rest beneath hand-woven bamboo lanterns. Their warm, amber light settles gently across crisp linen tablecloths and polished wood, inviting every guest to linger a little longer. Conversations unfold in soft, unhurried voices. A porcelain teapot on nearby table releases delicate ribbons of fragrant steam into the cooling evening air. Here, time is measured not by minutes, but by sunsets, gentle conversations, and one lingering cup of tea after another. As you continue inland, elegant lanterns begin to appear beside the path, one after another. Their warm glow awakens with the coming night, casting soft pools of light across smooth volcanic stone and carefully laid garden pathways. The soft light brushes against flowering shrubs, broad banana leaves glistening with the last traces of daylight, and beautifully carved teak gates weathered by generations of sea air. Everything is bathed in a quiet, golden radiance, as though the island has chosen candlelight instead of electricity, preferring warmth over brightness, softness over spectacle. Ahead, the silhouette of the sea temple gradually emerges from the gathering twilight. It remains just distant enough to preserve its mystery, yet close enough that you can now admire its graceful, tiered rooftops rising elegantly toward the deepening sky. The ancient sanctuary seems suspended between worlds, rooted in volcanic stone, surrounded by the sea, and crowned by an endless evening sky painted in sapphire, violet, and the last whisper of gold. As you draw nearer, the atmosphere begins to change. The evening air feels cooler now, more still. The ocean breeze carries the familiar fragrance of salt, but it is now joined by something older, something sacred. Thin ribbons of incense drift effortlessly through the night air, their fragrance lingering among the temple walls as it has for countless generations. Warm sandalwood, the faint sweetness of frangipani blossoms resting upon woven offerings. Every breath feels quieter than the last, as though even the air itself has become part of the temple's enduring devotion. The sky deepens again. The first crescent moon appears above the ocean, so delicate it almost seems painted there. Its silver reflection stretches across the water like a pathway made of light. You follow that shimmering ribbon with your eyes for several quiet breaths. Somewhere ahead, a temple bell rings once. Its clear tone floats across the sea breeze, lingering gently in the evening air before dissolving into silence. You smile. The sound feels less like a call and more like a welcome. The path begins rising very gradually now. With every step, the coastline unfolds a little farther behind you. The beach, where you greeted the sunset, has become a slender ribbon of ivory sand, resting quietly between the sea and the swaying palms. Tiny lanterns shimmer in the distance like scattered embers, their warm glow flickering gently against the deepening dusk. Beyond them, the Indian Ocean stretches without end. You take one slow, unhurried breath, then another. The evening settles around you like a soft, silk shawl, weightless, soft. And then, there it is, Tanah Lot. It rises from the sea on its own ancient island of volcanic stone, appearing suspended between earth and sky. Its elegant, tiered rooftops stand in quiet silhouette against a horizon still glowing with amber, rose, and deep violet, as though the last light of day has chosen to linger there just a little longer. The narrow causeway leading to the temple reveals itself only at low tide, and the tide is low now. On either side of the stone path, seawater slips through ancient channels carved into the rock over countless centuries. Silver, soft jade, and pale emerald. Each gentle current catching the final ribbons of daylight before surrendering to the coming night. Only one sound remains: the ocean, its endless rhythm. Waves arriving, waves returning. The temple stands with quiet dignity upon its rocky sanctuary, embraced on every side by the sea that has patiently sculpted these cliffs through the ages. As the tide begins its gradual return, the water gathers around the island until the temple seems almost to float upon its shimmering surface. You come to a gentle stop and allow yourself to take it all in. There are others here, pilgrims carrying woven offerings of flowers and incense, local families arriving for their evening prayers, a handful of quiet travelers drawn here by the same unspoken wonder. Yet the temple remains wrapped in an extraordinary stillness. No voices rise above a gentle murmur. No footsteps disturb the peace. It is as though everyone who arrives instinctively understands that this is a place where silence is not expected. It is offered freely. From somewhere beyond the temple walls, the delicate music of a gamelan ensemble drifts across the evening air. Each note lingers for a moment before dissolving effortlessly into the sea breeze. Near the temple entrance, priests dressed in flowing white robes trimmed with gold move with graceful, deliberate steps. Fresh offerings rest in their hands: frangipani blossoms, jasmine petals, delicate baskets woven from young palm leaves. Their quiet devotion seems to slow the very air around them. Far below, the ocean slips through hidden caverns beneath the volcanic cliffs. The sound rises slowly from the darkness. Deep, resonant, ancient. Not the crash of waves, but a long, measured exhale, as though the island itself is breathing beneath your feet. You remain there for a long while, without speaking, without moving. Your gaze follows the elegant silhouette of Tanah Lot as it rises against the sky now painted in indigo, violet, and silver. You breathe in, sea salt carried on the evening breeze, warm sandalwood incense curling skyward, the delicate sweetness of fresh blossoms resting upon carefully woven offerings. You breathe out, and without searching for words, without trying to understand, you simply know. For this one quiet evening, at this sacred meeting place of sea, sky, and stone, you are exactly where you are meant to be. As you sit in the temple's quiet embrace, a memory rises gently to the surface of your mind. Not summoned, not searched for, it simply arrives. It is not a memory of the sea, but of another face of this remarkable island, one no less beautiful, one no less sacred. A place hidden deep within Bali's emerald heart, far from the coastline, where graceful rice terraces descend across rolling hills like living stairways carved into the landscape, where the final light of afternoon lingers upon flooded fields, turning each terrace into a mirror of liquid gold, where warm jungle air carries the rich perfume of rain-soaked earth, fresh bamboo, wild ginger blossoms, and the quiet sweetness of flowering frangipani carried gently on the breeze. There, rivers wind effortlessly through the valley, their clear water gliding over smooth volcanic stone with a melody as old as the island itself. The evening chorus of cicadas rises softly from the forest. Golden reflections shimmer across polished verandas as dusk settles gently over the valley. Later, when the last traces of daylight have slipped beyond the hills, the jungle revealed another kind of wonder. One by one, fireflies awaken beneath the towering canopy. Tiny lanterns of living light drifting silently through the darkness, as though fragments of the night sky have floated down to rest among the leaves. One appears, then another, until the forest glows with hundreds of tiny lights, rising and falling with effortless grace, as though the jungle itself has begun to breathe in stars. The memory becomes brighter with every passing breath. You find yourself drifting back, just a few days earlier, to another side of the island, the Bali that lives beyond the beaches, ancient, lush, quietly magnificent. The roads narrowed beneath magnificent banyan trees whose sweeping branches formed living archways overhead. Their ancient roots descended through the humid air like beautifully woven curtains suspended between earth and sky. Even with the windows only slightly open, the air felt entirely different here. Cooler, richer, alive with the fragrance of wet earth, fresh bamboo, moss-covered stone, and tropical foliage still glistening from the morning dew. It was a scent so lush, so deeply green, it felt almost possible to taste it. You arrived at the Tegalalang rice terrace just as the afternoon was surrendering to evening. No photograph, no film, no description could have prepared you for what unfolded before your eyes. The terraces cascaded down the hillside in sweeping emerald ribbons, each graceful level holding a perfectly still reflection of the sky above. The final light of the sun drifted slowly across the water, painting every terrace with luminous gold before dissolving into jade, then emerald, then deep velvet green. Clouds floated both above you and beneath you. For one unforgettable moment, it became impossible to tell where heaven ended and the earth began. The rice terraces stretched across the valley like a masterpiece shaped patiently by generations of devoted hands, not simply cultivated, but lovingly composed, a living work of art that continued to grow, breathe, and change with every passing season. Far below, the last of the farmers completed their day's work with the same quiet grace their families had carried through these fields for centuries. As evening settled over the valley, the first frogs began their gentle chorus. Soon the cicadas answered from deep within the surrounding jungle. Beneath both, steady and unchanging, flowed the quiet music of the ancient Subak irrigation channels, guiding crystal-clear mountain water through the terraces just as they have for nearly 1,000 years. The gentle trickle threaded its way through every field, a living melody that seemed woven into the soul of the landscape itself. A soft mountain breeze wandered across the valley. It moved through the rice terraces in slow, graceful waves, each emerald blade bowing gently before rising once more. The movement reminded you of the ocean, yet softer, more intimate, as though the hills themselves were breathing in one long, peaceful rhythm. You remained perfectly still, allowing that quiet pulse of the land to move through you until your own breathing became part of it. As the sun continued its graceful descent, the colors of the valley deepened almost imperceptibly. Brilliant emerald softened into rich jade. Jade melted into velvety moss and deep forest green. Every terrace seemed to gather the last golden light of the afternoon, holding it gently before releasing it to the coming evening. A short walk brought you to a secluded pavilion overlooking the valley below. Its polished teak floor felt cool and perfectly smooth beneath your bare feet. Generous woven cushions rested beneath exquisitely carved timber pillars, each one shaped by skilled Balinese artisans whose craftsmanship had been passed from one generation to the next. You lingered there as afternoon surrendered gracefully to dusk. The terraces became mirrors of the evening sky, reflecting soft ribbons of gold, rose, and lavender that slowly dissolved into deepening shades of jade. And later, as evening drew nearer, came the walk into the jungle. Your guide led you along a path so slender it seemed less like a trail and more like an invitation whispered by the forest itself. Broad banana leaves brushed gently against your shoulders as you passed. Each careful step drew you deeper into a world that felt untouched by time. The air was rich with warmth and gentle humidity, wrapping around you like soft silk. Every breath carried the earthy freshness of rain-soaked soil. The jungle welcomed you with effortless generosity. Everything belonged exactly where it was. Every fern, every moss-covered stone, every butterfly gliding silently through warm pockets of sunlight, every gentle breath of wind moving through the canopy. Dragonflies drifted effortlessly above the flooded terraces nearby. Their translucent wings caught the sunlight for a fleeting moment, flashing like polished silver before disappearing once again. Farther along, the forest gently opened onto the banks of a mountain river. Its crystal-clear water slipped over smooth volcanic stones, polished by centuries of flowing currents. You knelt beside the river's edge and lowered your fingertips into the water. The coolness was immediate, fresh from the island's highlands, silken, pure. You remember standing there for a long while, simply listening to a river that asked nothing of you, and yet offered complete peace in return. A gentle chorus of frogs hid among the terraces, the rhythmic song of night insects beneath the palms, the occasional distant call of a bird disappearing into the canopy. Every sound layered gently upon the next until the entire jungle seemed to breathe around you. But that was then. Now the stars are appearing over Tanalot, one by one, and then all at once. Nearby, a local artist carefully sketches the outline of the temple into a small notebook. The pencil moves slowly across the page. You continue toward the edge of the cliffs. The waves below crash gently against the volcanic rock, sending white foam swirling through narrow channels before retreating once again. You find a quiet place to sit upon a smooth stone bench. The moon climbs a little higher. You close your eyes for a single peaceful breath. In and out. The sea continues its endless conversation with the shore. The breeze continues to move through the palms. You take one final, lingering look toward Tanalot. Its ancient silhouette now rests in perfect darkness against a sky of deep sapphire and velvet indigo. Far below, the ocean continues its eternal conversation with the volcanic cliffs. At last, you turn toward home. The return feels effortless now. The path has become familiar beneath your feet. Smooth volcanic steps, gentle stretches of moonlit sand, silver seagrass swaying quietly in the coastal breeze. There is no hurry. The pathway gradually leads you into a peaceful coastal village. Soft lantern light spills from carved wooden verandas onto flowering gardens and neatly swept stone courtyards. Families gather unhurriedly beneath open-air pavilions, sharing the final moments of the evening together. You slow your pace even further. The journey itself has become the destination. Every gentle breeze, every lantern, every flowering vine cascading over a stone wall, every distant wave arriving faithfully upon the shore. These are the moments that quietly fill the heart. The sea temple is now a quiet silhouette against the moonlit horizon. You offer one last, lingering glance toward the waves, their silver edges rising and falling with effortless rhythm, before turning toward the softly illuminated path that leads inland. The fragrance mingles with sea salt, night-blooming jasmine, and the subtle sweetness of tropical flowers opening beneath the moon. Every breath feels calm. Every breath feels spacious. The path curves through a quiet lane where only a handful of villas are tucked among lush greenery. Soon, you arrive before the entrance to your villa. Home. A beautifully carved teak gate stands quietly beneath the moonlight, its intricate relief of lotus blossoms, curling vines, and flowing leaves shaped by the patient hands of Balinese artisans. Touching its polished surface has become a quiet ritual. Without thinking, your fingertips drift gently across the warm, satin-smooth wood once again. It feels reassuringly familiar, as though the villa itself has been waiting to welcome you home. The gate opens almost without a sound. Beyond it, a private garden reveals itself like a hidden sanctuary. White orchids bloom among graceful ferns, their delicate fragrance lingering in the cool night air. A winding pathway of hand-cut stone leads quietly through the garden, illuminated by softly glowing lanterns nestled among moss-covered rocks. Beside the path, a tranquil koi pond reflects the moon and the stars in the night sky. Ivory, gold, and deep crimson koi fish glide effortlessly beneath floating lily pads, their graceful movements sending tiny ripples across the glass-like surface. Your villa rests quietly within the embrace of the garden. Warm, honey-toned teak, floor-to-ceiling glass doors standing open to the evening breeze, reflecting exquisite craftsmanship, thoughtful simplicity, and the effortless harmony between architecture and nature. The villa is bathed in a warm, tranquil glow. The quiet fragrance of jasmine and sandalwood wafts softly through the air. The living pavilion opens effortlessly onto the terrace, and the terrace dissolves into the garden beyond. There are no harsh boundaries separating indoors from out. At the center of the courtyard rests a deep, soaking tub carved from a single block of pale river stone. Its smooth surface has been polished until it feels almost like silk beneath your fingertips. The stone bath has already been filled. Steam rises gently from the water, carrying the subtle hint of calming essential oils. Dozens of tiny candles flicker softly around the courtyard, their golden reflections dancing across the water and stone. Everything feels private, protected, peacefully hidden from the world beyond. You step into the warmth, your muscles release one by one, and you soak in the quiet privilege of simply being here. You close your eyes. The entire garden seems to breathe in slow harmony around you. You exhale. The water answers with gentle ripples. You are exactly where you belong. When you step out, a soft, thick robe wraps awaits you. Its generous folds cocoon you in quiet warmth, as though you are being wrapped in the evening itself. You slip into finely woven sleepwear that feels impossibly light, washed to a softness that feels almost weightless against your skin. The bedroom glows quietly beneath the gentle light of a few carefully placed candles and the silver radiance of the moon beyond the open shutters. Every corner of the villa is wrapped in a calm, luminous stillness. You slip beneath the linen bedding. Outside, the ocean continues its peaceful rhythm. Inside, your own breathing begins to match it. In, like the tide arriving. Out, like the tide returning to sea. Above you, the ceiling fan turns with slow, effortless grace. Each quiet rotation gathers the cool night air and carries it gently through the room, lifting the linen curtains in soft, graceful waves. The entire villa seems to breathe alongside you. Through the open shutters, the island continues its quiet conversation with the night. The sea continues its patient rhythm. The stars continue their slow journey across the sky. Nothing asks anything of you tonight. Tomorrow will arrive in its own perfect time, just as dawn always arrives, quietly, without effort, without invitation. But tomorrow is still sleeping beyond the horizon. It does not need you yet. For now, there is only this room, this gentle darkness, this cool evening air, and the peaceful rhythm of the island surrounding you. With every quiet breath, you settle a little deeper into rest, breathing in the calm of the night, breathing out anything that no longer needs to be carried. With every inhale, invite a little more softness into your body. With every exhale, allow yourself to let go, just a little more. This peaceful night asks nothing from you, except for you to rest. Your breathing becomes slower. Your body settles deeper into perfect comfort with every passing breath. Sleep is already finding you. There is no need to reach for it, only to welcome it, as gently as the sea welcomes the moonlight. So sleep now, and let Bali keep watch until morning. Good night.